Hello, welcome to the Good Life Meditation for October 13th, 2025. My name is Kurt, and I'll be your journaler here, your diarist here. This is an exercise that I do each and every morning at about 5:30 a.m. Japan time. I do this for the purpose of remembering and preparing or to aligning myself with the values in my book, Going Alone. I call it the values. I give them the title, the Good Life Creed, which you can find in the chapter titled The Good Life. Just go to, you can read it for free at goingalone.org, and this type, just go to the read the book link on the page, and then look for the chapter titled The Good Life, and you can follow along. All right, I do this as a journal entry, like I said. As such, I'm at liberty to talk about anything I want for as long or as little as I want. And I sometimes talk about death and other subjects that make people uncomfortable. So you've been warned. Huge thank you to my YouTube members, my Patreon supporters, and those who watch my videos. Your explicit support goes a long way towards helping me to endeavor towards the things beyond just the routine, uh, everyday things that I do here with my wife, but allow me to step out sometimes and bring you the larger world here in Japan. All right, so I do keep notes throughout the day, and let's go ahead and review the notes from yesterday. I For the last 24 hours, yesterday was a Sunday, and today's another holiday. It's a Monday. No, well, it is a holiday, so it's another day off. Yesterday was Sunday. As such, the day was free. Yumiko and I, my wife, and I spent the first part of the day together doing stuff, and then we were joined by my sister-in-law Yoko for the afternoon. Now, when I'm telling you about the day, I'm not here to talk to you about the details, which are largely unimportant in the long term. I'm here to tell you about, to cite the moments where life got challenging in some way, either in a positive or a negative way. Sometimes life can have very positive challenges. And the question is, how did I do with those challenges? Did I handle them well? If so, how did I do that? So I can do more of that in the future. Did I handle them poorly? Oh, if so, then what did I do wrong? How could I improve? In what way could I better leverage my own values, those found within the Good Life Creed, to better ends in the future? Or are my values lacking in some way? Are my objectives and principles insufficient to the task that I met? These are the questions to ask. So I keep notes, and in yesterday's notes, and I'm doing this for the first time. I actually wrote down the objectives and principles that I thought applied, which is a first for me. I can't believe after all these years, it's the first time I thought to do that. I noted not only the challenge or the situation, but then as I had a little time to reflect yesterday, closer to the moment, thinking about which elements of my creed applied. So here we go. I have two of them. Excuse me. The first is parking lot, and the second one says Othello. Let's go over them. Parking lot. So, and then I have a note here. It says hashtag limits, hashtag balance. So here's the situation. Yumiko and I decided to go to a kind of like a shopping center in the nearby city of, it's actually a community. It's part of Shizuoka City, the ward of Shimizu down by the harbor. Dream Plaza is a large shopping center, very popular, not as new as it once was. I remember when it was first built, when we lived here before, but still draws a good crowd and has a big parking structure nearby. And when we arrived, we parked on the fifth floor of the parking structure, and you have to cross this kind of a bridge over the highway over the main harbor road there, to get from the parking structure to the shopping area. And when we were done, we had made some purchases. I had bought some shoes. We had we got back to the car, And then Yumiko remembered, oh, we need to validate our parking. Now we had received the validation coupon when we bought the shoes. What we needed to do was find the machine where we could validate it. Now, my memory failed me. I remember in the past doing the same, trying to figure the same thing out. This is, 20 years ago when they first opened Dream Plaza. And the turns out that the ticket validation machine, where you show the barcode for your purchase to a machine, and that machine then liberates you of the need to pay. There's not even a ticket or anything like that because it takes a photo of your license plate as you come in, and then as you exit, it's watching to see your license plate, and it knows that you're all paid up. It's a pretty simple and straightforward mechanism. The problem was this huge, I think it's a 6 or 7 floor structure. I believe it has only one or parking redemption machine, believe it or not. That machine is down on the very first floor out on the street, of all places. You would think that they would have them in maybe 2 or 3 of these things, maybe one on each floor or something like that. But no, there's just the one. Now, I had forgotten that. Now, here's where it all gets, Kurt, you're telling us stories, and I'm not here to tell stories. I'm here to talk about how I leverage my values towards better ends. We were on the 5th floor, middle of the parking lot, when we remembered, and neither of us could remember where the machines were. Although we had realized we had missed it. Uh, Immediately, a little bit of frustration begins to rise. Right? I don't know how it rises for you, but it seems to rise around my middle of my gut, and I can feel the frustration rising a little bit. And I quickly, and I don't even have it on my list here. I should have said so. I quickly leveraged Temperance. I said, "Oh, here you go," because it means we have to backtrack and go find the damn machine. Even comes through my voice now. So I leverage Temperance to control the emotion, right? The goal is, of course, gosh, there's all kinds of stuff. There's hashtag Temperance. I have to add to the list. Hashtag Offal, the Feast of Offal. The goal of controlling my emotions is to make sure that I don't let those emotions spill out into public, or even, even in the slight sense, so that I soil the time with my wife. Because you can do that, right? You can have a really nice time out with your significant other, and then get all spoiled by an episode of upset when you can't validate the damn ticket because you don't know where the machine is, and you're tired, and your feet are and you're hungry, and you want to go home. Well, so I immediately listed Temperance to control my emotions. And I guess I also started to enlist reason. There's another one, hashtag reason. That's another principle to work my way through it. Because reason told me that the thing to do would be to retrace our steps to the entrance of this parking level to see if there was a machine there. I didn't see one, which I did immediately. I dispatched myself, ran over there, and took a look inside. There was none. So I went back to the car with frustration mounting, telling Yumiko that there was none. Maybe it was on the arrival ramp when you come across that bridge, not a drawbridge. When you come across the bridge from the shopping center to the parking structure, it would make sense to put the machine right there, right? So we both got out of the car, locked the door, got our stuff, and off we went. No, it wasn't there either. So now we begin. We're confused, and now we find ourselves in the middle of the parking lot, and we begin walking um, around, and I'm getting frustrated now that frustration has risen to about here. Now it doesn't. I've got it under control until it gets to here. Once it gets to here, it spews out of my mouth, and I start to say things that I regret. Not mean things or not anything, but things that soil the mood. You know what I mean? About here that arisen. I'm using Temperance to hold it down. I'm reminding myself of that life will not go well. There's another one I should have added to the list. Here I'm listing all kinds of things, right? I'm not explicitly saying these things necessarily, but they're part and parcel of my perspective on life, so they're in my mind. Eventually, we wind ourselves down on the first floor outside, and we find the machine, and all the memories come flooding back. I remember that that's, of course, where it's always been. Why did I remember that to begin with? And we paid up and got in the car and went home. So in the end, I successfully controlled my emotions, I don't think Yumiko had any idea, although I'm sure she was aware that I was frustrated on the inside. I gave no clue or hint of it on the outside. I remained cool, a cool cucumber, calm and in control, controlling my emotions, reasoning my way through the thing, like almost laughingly going from one floor to another, looking for the stupid machine, which we eventually found. And I wind up in hindsight with a nice little anecdote to share with you, and no, I didn't soil it in any way with expressed emotions. Although I did have some emotions, in fact, those emotions hardly had the best of me either. Even though I had to contain them a little bit. That was a very well executed experience relative to my creed. I'm going to give myself 5 stars on that one. I can give myself a rating if I like. So the second one was under the name of Othello, as in the game. In the afternoon, after we collected Yoko, we went for afternoon tea at Nihondaira Kocha, which is a black tea uh, cafe, not far from our home. It's just over in the neighboring community of Kunioshida, next door community. It's really a neat place. It's run by a lovely matron who married into a tea growing household. A beautiful old Kominka style home, and she, now that they're retired, and their gentleman husband's a gentleman, her husband is a gentleman tea farmer now, still working the fields, but not in earnest anymore, more for leisure and fun. She converted a part of the old family home into a black tea coffee shop, black tea shop, that is. And which is unusual because Japan in this area is known for green tea, but she makes black tea. Turns out it's the same leaves. It just depends on how you process it, whether it turns out to be black tea or green tea or whatever tea. So we go there probably once a month, and she knows this very well. In fact, this zabuton that I'm sitting on right now, this cushion mat right here, she gave this to me as a gift. She gave me two of them, one for me and one for Rudy. Rudy's sitting on his over there, and I'm sitting on mine. So she's kind of become a family friend. And we went over there, and we've actually gotten to know some of the tragedy part, some of the tough stuff that's going on. She's dealing with a small horror show of her own. Although, are any horror shows really small? I don't know. Hashtag horror show. Horror show is another one of my principles when I describes when there's one principle called life will not go well that describes when things get tough. Horror show describes when things get really, really tough. You know what I mean. So she's going through a horror show of sorts right now, and we were there, and we kind of distract her a little bit with it. It was just the three of us and her. We had a really nice time. Stayed there probably for an hour and a half, something like that. Anyway, my note here says Othello, and then I have the good life elements of limits, hashtag temperance, and hashtag balance showing here. What do I mean? Well, Yoko, or my sister-in-law, was talking to the matron of the house and having a little sit down with a little dog of theirs, Rei-kun. Yumiko and I decided to play a game of Othello together. It's reversey, I think it's called in the States. It's a little bit like Go, with little stones with black side and white side, and you kind of reverse them as you gather stones, right? Well, Yumiko is really good at games. I mean, really, really, really good. I mean, she were to take her skill and apply it at the Las Vegas blackjack table or roulette table or something like that, I'm sure she would do really well. But she's not that type. Anyway, she kicked my ass. She always kicks my ass every time. She is incredibly good at it, and not only that, but she's very giddy. She's a very reserved person in general, but when she takes her gaming very seriously, and when she wins, she gets excited and she talks, which to a loser like me can kind of feel like rubbing it in, and she certainly doesn't mean that, and I don't certainly would never accuse her of that, but she gave me a thorough thrashing yesterday at Othello, and with singing and dancing included. And here's the thing: I am not a good loser at games. I've never really taken it very well. I don't consider myself a competitive person necessarily, but once I take it, I like to succeed when I do at things that I take on. Right. That's why I think I was a pretty good project manager. Was that I take my decided objectives seriously, and it's frustrating to me when I fail at them. So I wasn't as much. It wasn't that my pride was hurt or anything like that, as much as I had I wanted to win because I had set the objective to win. Now, where does this relate to the Good Life Creed? Well, I don't want to spoil my wife's fun. She's very good at games. We're having a very good and lively and fun game. I'm I think I'm kind of a humorous person, and I was interjecting with humor, and she was in a good mood, and I want to spoil that, even though I was frustrated. So I utilized the principles, of course, of temperance. I used the hashtag of limits, recognizing my true limits and true opportunity. The limit being, this is something that I'm not good at. Playing games. Yumiko's better than me. My opportunity is to be a good loser, right? And as a result, as a consequence, I found a very sweet balance. I lost with exquisite grace yesterday. And it wasn't hard to achieve, even though there was a little part of me of, I can imagine, like the seven dwarfs, right? Of my constitution and disposition. One of those was grumpy. Grumpy was the one that is grumpy and upset because I was losing the game. Well, 20 or 30 years ago, grumpy would have held sway, and Yumiko would have been winning, but I would have been visibly grumpy. Yeah, grumpy didn't get to come to the party yesterday. He was there, but he had to stay in the back. You know, Happy was at the head of the table, so to speak. I I lost with grace. I lost with humor. I was able to entertain, have fun, and entertain the fact of my wife's achievement and celebrate it. Another 5-star engagement of life. Now, remember, if it sounds like I'm being flattering, this is my journal. I can write in my journal and say, "Hey, dear diary, had a good day yesterday. Handled two situations that in the past might have been challenging for me. In the parking lot at Dream Plaza, and then while playing Othello and getting beat thoroughly by my wife. Handled them both well. Good job, Kurt. Get a 5-star altogether, a 5-star day." That's all I have to say for yesterday. As for my creed, it consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles. The 8 objectives being: number 1, to be always ready to die, to have my affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in order and sound, and as much as possible, complete. 2, to make good and effective use of my time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions relative to my values. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And number 8, to maintain my balance, which comes as a resultant consequence of good, timely, and thorough attendance to the first 7 objectives. For my principle today, I'm going to read for you the social principle, which you can read in Going Alone on if you have a hardbound edition in page 258. Oh, it's a little hard to read. It's so dang dark. Here we go. I'll try my best. I'll read up here against the light, the candle. The social principle, sub-principles: diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy. Conspiracy, eh? And a quote from Dr. Johnson: "Society is the true sphere of human virtue." Certainly, that is a Johnsonian observation. The social principle. And the 3 sub-principles should become evident, if not self-evident, at least implied when I read. The social principle. Human beings generally operate in pursuit of our own well-being and the well-being of one another. We can survive alone, though we rarely flourish in solitude, and we risk that whatever understanding and wisdom we gain in deep and persistent disconnect may not be easily communicated or translated to others, and may become irrelevant babble despite perhaps being true. Therefore, find one another and make good effort to be together and share ideas. Go alone at times, but always return to be with others. I will become a diplomat and ambassador to not only the familiar, but also the strange and new. I will strive always with others towards sane and just ends. Become a man or woman of one another. We will conspire together towards what we perceive and decide is good. These are lofty goals, something I struggle daily to obtain, to attain. I put the social principle in kind of late. Going alone, of course, is about the exploration of self or the exploration of the universe by oneself. And then the social principle made obvious and evident sense when I realized that the punchline of going alone was coming back. As for today, the next 24 hours, well, it's a holiday. I think we're going to, if the weather holds and is nice, we're going to might go for rent some bicycles and go for a nice bicycle ride around town. If it weather doesn't hold, we might go antiquing. We'll see how the day unfolds. And this is nice. It's starting to get a little light. That's it for that. Let's go ahead and read if there's any comments. I think I saw a few go by. Hi, there's Tim. Tim says, the morning and no to me. Thank you, Tim. Good evening to you. Weather check at 9:38 p.m. for the UK is 9.8 C and 95% humidity. Another calm, cloudy day. Nice. Tim, the temperature and weather here are, gee, I can barely see it. So dark out there. I need to move my thermostat right there so I can see. Well, the inside temperature is 22 and I've got the windows all open. So it's about 22, but I can't tell. The humidity looks like it's in just above 80, something like that. I'll move it up there for tomorrow. Hello, Evelyn. Good to see you. Evelyn says hello to myself and Tim. Tim says hello to Evelyn. Evelyn says, I wish I could stop myself when I get frustrated, examine what is happening, and put the brakes on. It takes practice, doesn't it, to do that, to get ahead of our emotions. It really helped me Evelyn, when I began to visualize it like a thermometer of temperature gauge rising, I almost like see it like bile rising from my gut, and I don't want to vomit it out into the world through the visual display of my upset, which I can wear on my face. My wife can see it easy. Claude, hello, Claude. Feels like it's raining all over the world. Happy week to Kurt. Landia arriving soon to Live Max Okazaki for the first night. If travel plans occur to scheduled itinerary and willingness of gods, I wish you all the best in your travels here in Japan, Claude, and safe travels to Nagoya and parts beyond. All right, I made it to the bottom. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap up for now, just as the light is starting to accumulate enough to actually make heads or tails of things here. I wish you all the best, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.